we start our today's conversation on the topic design of the environment and modern art in urban environment, the experience of transformation in this space. I hope that our conversation will be interesting. At first, I would like to outline the vector of our today's discussion. I would like us to speak about universities as project centers, project institutions, what they can bring to cities, to regions in terms of educational environment, the environment of social institutions. Now we are within the premises of Higher School of Economics. I would like to ask Mr. Knyginin, Vice Governor of St. Petersburg, to start to outline what the city is waiting from the university, how we can apply our project skills, for example. Thank you, Dmitry, for the question. No voice in the microphone. As for the students, we hope they will contribute to the regional economy. If to be serious, let us remember the first panel discussion, federal educational institutions live in their autonomous logics in the regions. Of course, they are connected with the regions. They're involved into a large number of social and economic projects. But the main funds and efficiency indicators are addressed by the federation. We could leave it. These are jobs, money which come to the city. This is one of the key channels in order to attract young, energetic people who are striving for good education. It is good migration to St. Petersburg. People are interested in it, but nevertheless, such separation leads to the disappearance. Difficult, highly demanded things, intellectual partner, because it becomes out of the contours of everyday policy. The Committee on Science in the high school is preserved, unlike in many regions. There are no such managerial body. Thus, the policy in the educational center, it is vague. If you consider the allocation of budget financing, you will understand that there are no educational institution in this connection. We are waiting from you to be good rating and provide us with the influx of literate, energetic people, realize the third mission. Mr. Kazin visits us from time to time. I'm for design, but I need open school of design to attract citizens. Make it considerable for us. make it open for common people. If you project and create something, it is good, but please teach our citizens to live properly in our city. Of course, we are waiting the third mission from you. As it seems to me, when I interact with high institutions, they tell me what I should do for them. What are they waiting from us? What we can't accomplish. On the whole, I'm glad that we have got university system. I'm glad when a new university appears. Many people treat High School of Economics, St. Petersburg, as not St. Petersburg University, but I'm sure that High School of Economics, St. Petersburg branch, it is through St. Petersburg University. Sometimes this branch is compared with Moscow High School of Economics, but I think that we are not worse. I'm going to finish now. It is a philosophical question. You know that panel discussion is an interesting thing. I'm ready to answer about open school. We agreed with Russian Museum of Ethnography at the beginning of October. HEC Open Design Days will take place. We invite our partners from other universities to take part in it event within the frames of the design exhibition. We can test the format we have already discussed. And I in my turn, invite you to the opening of the second. I am looking forward to the opening of the second part of industrial technologies and design. In my opinion, the idea is brilliant. The idea of opening the workshops in this city. Let us give the floor to our next speaker. Alexei Demidov is here with us, the rector of Petersburg State University of Industrial Technologies and Design. And the project of Boiling Point has already been mentioned. Alexei, the floor is yours. It's very pleasant to receive the invitation to today's conference. It seems to me that the opportunity to exchange opinions and discuss directions of the development, which are, to my mind, would be very considerable for this city and federal high institutions. Vladimir Nikolaevich has just mentioned that the question for the federal institutions, what they do or can do for the city. I paid attention to such a direction. There is a monitoring of the activity. It is included into the legislation. It is the monitoring of each university. And from the legal point of view, it is necessary for the universities. And recently published results showed new intersection. And it is very interesting in terms of design, industrial design, and other directions, informational design. What is new in monitorings? It directly deals with today's discussion. in each university, now the number of students and education and the share in the region which is occupied by a university or academy in this or that direction in terms of percentage rate and so on. For me, it was very interesting to see analytics, and it is necessary for Russian institutions, state, governmental or non-governmental, group 54 design. It is today 15 universities in St. Petersburg and the regions. They teach design. And if we consider group 29, artistic projection, technologies, and so on, it includes 9 more universities which intersects somewhere. If we consider such directions as information technologies in design, applied informatics in design, they are highly demanded for universities in St. Petersburg, teach students in this direction. And the analysis showed in this specific region how many universities teach in this direction, the share of students of each university in this or that directions, not only according to the number of students. Other indicators were taken into account, and educational profile, if it's take into account design, the design of architectural environment, graphic design, design of advertising, textile design, and so on and so forth. At our university, out of 18 institutions, 5 the institutes of design of costume, the design of spatial environments, the design of arts, textile and fashion design, and so on. This monitoring data allowed to show a year ago, it was a year ago, in the percentage respect, the share of design direction at each University of St. Petersburg in terms of enrollment and education. I'm glad to say that here with us is rector of Stiglitz Academy and 2 universities of industrial technology and design. And all in all, they take 70% from overall, if you take the number of educated students in design, applied informatics, design, and so more than 70% all in all. And as for projects connected with this city, urban environment, you see that he goes away from the question about boiling point. Maybe you will create your own version of this story, and we will consider the ratings, and citizens will vote for the most interesting place. Boiling points, there are 108 boiling points. Industrial technical design, it is a boiling point in our city. Sadovaya 54, it was opened, and Vladimir was presented at this event. It was in autumn of last year, and the character of events overlaps the planned indicators. Desires, offers, and what is the character of life in this boiling point? Dmitry Peskov was mentioned, the quotation. When this boiling point was opened, he said, if in a year, if we speak about industrial design, we will know that it is boiling point of industrial design in St. Petersburg. We will know that the task was fulfilled. It is the second cue of the boiling point. Well, it should have taken place in May, but you see, the May is coming to an end. Huge premises on Voznesensky Prospect are going to be involved. They are under redecoration now.
So we are going to equip those premises with the most up-to-date equipment. Okay, we are short of time. Just three theses. The boiling point and the university for the city. What does it mean? So the boiling point for the city, I'm going to outline it. I would like to add concerning the open school of design for the city, for the dwellers, city dwellers. The Institute of Industrial Design and Technologies is open for a number of years, 21 years, and I can say that the quantity of students who take one course of 8 months or 1 month yearly, it's from 900 to 1,100 people. And among those people, there are a lot of inhabitants of the city. There are some groups and some courses for the people who are already grown up and accomplished, and they're not going to enter the university, any university. They just want to study, and it's different kinds of design. It's artistic design, industrial design, and this is an open school, literally, and quite for a long time. I would repeat myself. And for the city, the open space of the territory, some design areas in the city, we can reframe it, open territories for the city dwellers, inhabitants. So the boiling point can perform this function. I would give you an example right now. We are working on a very beautiful project for all the municipal buildings of the city. So it was a surprise for me to learn that in St. Petersburg there are four palaces where you can have marriage, and in Moscow there is no such a thing. And there are also special palaces for the registration of newly born babies. And now this beautiful project provides special outfits, costumes for the employees of those palaces. And they fit and the interiors of the palaces, and it's a real state-run order. And this is one of the interactions that we have with the city. So in the boiling point, we'll invite you for the second part of this project when it will take place. It's not the end of May, but it will take place this year for sure, by the end of the year, not later, because the purchase of equipment for 32 million rubles. Vyacheslav, I'm sorry, it's really interesting, but we need to move on. And I would like to give the floor to Anna Kislitsina, rector of Shiglitz Academy of Art and Design. And this is the school that I really like because I'm a graduate, an alumnus of the school, and we used to call it Muha because it bore the name of Muhina. So presentation is on the screen, and I give you the floor. Dear colleagues, I had a conversation with Dmitry Korshak before the beginning of the roundtable, and we discussed what we should choose for discussion during the roundtable. So as a result of this dialogue, we chose the following strategic tracks: artistic practices, space and milieu, new practice of demand, social practice. So our first track is artistic practices. So for some reason it goes really quick. I do not understand how it works. So right now we are running an exhibition 1 square meter. And today Sergei Novikov mentioned that he visited our academy, and I believe he had a certain inspiration and a certain impression about our students, because we have exhibited in Moscow Artist Union and Union of Designers, and St. Petersburg Union of Artists and Designers, and it's one of the examples of the modern exhibitions that take place in the Academy. The next example is the International Cartoon Academy, the promotion of young professionals in the field of contemporary art in different fields, starting from advertising reels to artistic works. And at the present moment, we are running the conference on conservation and restoration. So it presents our view on conservation, and we have new participants. It's leading museums of the city, Hermitage Museum and Russian State Museum, and students from all the universities where they have this department of conservation. So it's been a tradition for 6 years to hold a conference and an exhibition and a competition under the same name. We held the competition devoted to 145th anniversary of our academy, and we produced a line of souvenirs, and many of these souvenirs have been approved by the things we produced. And I hope so our museum, it's our business card where we have collected the objects of applied art, and the city really advises us to create an exhibition permanent exhibition devoted to design and history of design in the 20th century and of the beginning of the 21st century. So today, in collaboration with the Foundation for Arts, we are presenting the demo version of this exhibition. It's only some chosen, some selected examples of the works created from the 1950s, 1960s up to the present day. Further on, we are hoping to broaden this exhibition, make it bigger and make it a real part of our museum so that it would be devoted to the modern design, and it will be in our complex of buildings on Tchaikovsky Street, where we have all the design. This year and a year ago, the Academy became a ground for the Curators Forum. The organizers are the Northwest affiliate of the State Pushkin Museum, and we have the exhibition of contemporary art, and our students take an active part in this exhibition. And the second track is Space and Milieu, and for the city anniversary, we traditionally go out into the city space to Solenoy Lane, and we give the inhabitants and the visitors of the city to see what we are doing and see our students and their works. So this year, because of the pandemic, it wasn't possible. We are going to use our internal spaces and the yards, the courtyards of the academy. We have a youth initiative. And so this project is going through the remodeling and renovation kind of, and we are supposed to develop a creative cluster, Solenoy district, and make it bigger and broader, because the tourism committee initiated the creation of design quarters, design area, and Solenoy Lane from Pestel Street to Tchaikovsky Street might turn into this kind of creative space with museums that visitors are going to see, and the school itself with the new exhibition on design. So the Academy initiated the Festival of Contemporary Sculpture. This is mostly the cathedra of metalworks and sculpture. Of course, this includes a classic approach to sculpture as well as contemporary approach to sculpture with the experimental works. I hope we won the technical side. No, there are still some difficulties with this presentation. So we are going to continue without the presentation, with no illustrations, but okay, here you can our students took part in in creation of this presentation, so because they're so creative. Here you see the restoration forum in these images. So this is the triple portrait. So we wanted to restore the portrait of Nicholas II, and when we made an X-ray, we saw a second portrait of Vladimir Lenin. But it is a traditional practice after the years of the revolution. Lunacharsky, the Minister of Culture, he said to use the old canvases for modern themes. So some of the elements about this conference signs and symbols so that it will be memorized and commemorated. We published a book devoted to the Academy and gave to each of the employees of the Academy such a book. And we think that all the guests who will visit us will give such a beautiful book, and it would be our mission, an academy open to the city. So the space and milieu, it's our initiative, and it's rebranding of Solenoy town area. So the themes for the lectures are very interesting, and they choose the themes and topics themselves. They invite the speakers. We have a great number of alumni coming to us for these events. So this is our. This is one of the courtyards that is going to be turned into the lecture hall, and in the future we are going to invest a lot into this space. So this is another space that is going to be a boiling point as well. So we have a lot of areas of different sites, internal and externals, and there are some reserves. Yes, as far as I remember, there are reserves. This is the area, the technical area with the boilers that belongs to the academy, that is going to be turned into an art space as well. So the academy has a base. It's an art residence basis, and we make a project so that it is going to be converted into a site for exchange for the students, where they are going to elaborate their projects. And we think that they are going to have artistic practices there. We are going to have a festival of land art, and this autumn, last autumn, we created a university student meeting for the first time, and all the students of the first year went there. So this is what we do in regarding regarding business, and along with the foundation of youth initiatives, we have invited 6 partners who are going to be initiators of some of the nominations for the students. From our side, we had the heads and curators, and at the factories, the experts were working. And during the period of half a year, they created the real products with the design that were exposed in different galleries and were praised. And students who took part, they got offers for collaboration. So we collaborated with Imperial Porcelain Factory and other factories, and each of them made an order for their own products. And one wine producer ordered wine etiquettes for the bottles. So the concept group, the collection of clothes by young designers, and we also opened practical cathedra of clothes design, which is in high demand because they give a lot of skills related to management, economics, etc.
And also the gallery of design objects. It is very modest, but in our hall of the museum, it is located. We are going to open showroom of young designers in the academy. Such modern displays are being installed. It will be a sort of experiments. We want students not only to show their work of art, but also to realize them. And it is conducted with the help of youth initiatives. As for Open Design School, This is our real plans within nearest 2 years. We have up to 2,000 students. Education is offered in different forms: academy for grown-ups, for children, different individual projects. For example, Cartier firm audit a course, individual course, and consumption practices, and for example, Russian the attraction to the problem of cutting down of our forests. Also, academy, fashion, and students initiated secondary use of things, their recycling. At first, I did not trust it, but now I feel that it is a useful and brilliant thing. Well, we also try to economize, and a lot of students' projects are dedicated to this idea, social projects and social entrepreneurship. We always conduct a lot of excursions. Excursion Bureau works not only in usual format, it also prepare inclusive programs for the blind, for the deaf. These are interactive technologies, work with specific objects. Also, our students initiated the commission volunteers of the culture. There are very interesting initiatives. Manripo School, it is also a new project initiated by students. In the course of the discussion, we understood that, Manripo, it is a park near Vyborg. We closely cooperate with Vyborg. It is a new format of studying the traditions of peoples who used to populate this territory, bolts, fins, and mixture of cultures, as you may know. They are going to study it, and they will create the project New Ethnics. Anna Nikolaevna, thank you very much. Once again, our congratulations on the 145th anniversary of Stiglitz Academy. I visited the ceremony, and the competition Stiglitz Young, it is example for us, interaction of academy and industrial partners. And I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Andrei Punin. Anna, we are glad and we are envious that you have such brilliant exhibition halls. We hope that we will have such halls at our university. And at the moment we use St. Petersburg as a big exhibition hall, and about the intervention of huge projects into urban environment. I would like to draw your attention. I want to invite, there will be a designer competition the day after tomorrow. The spirit of spring, the breath of spring, the 22nd of May. Very interesting collections, best collections will be represented here, and prize fund is up to 500,000 rubles. It will be held from the 22nd to 26th of May. We will inform our students about this event. Good afternoon. Please stick to the agenda. You know that I like to speak about our projects. It is great pleasure for me to take part in this event, Education in Global Cities, first of all, due to the fact that we are in St. Petersburg, and I think that St. Petersburg is the most beautiful city in the world, and how it influences the educational environment and people. It is an interesting fact, and today I would like to speak about the project which was accomplished last year together with High School of Economics Central, Manege Central Exhibition Hall. And a few words about over the few recent years, we are working on the project Museum Line. It is an interesting story which opens a new page in the history of visual culture in St. Petersburg, when the hugest cultural institutions, museum, educational institutions are beyond their walls, and they start work directly with the city. Initially, Project Museum Life was organized as a sort of the roots. In St. Petersburg, we deal with a unique geographic situation in which the hugest museums of the city and country can't be covered at once in one day, and we created projects Museum Life. It is the environment in which different cultural institutions can show projects in urban environments of St. Petersburg directly beyond their walls. This concept, this popular concept, a museum with glass walls, when institutions becomes the part of the urban environment, and this museum line was invented as the route from Marble Palace, Millionaire Street, Manege Exhibition Hall, and New Holland. And within several years of these projects, very interesting events were held. The exhibitions of modern art projects connected with public art, and the projects which are on the intersections of research and artistic and educational projects. A year ago, together with Mita Hashak, invented a project, 33 Signs, the true history of Cyrillic script, the love for St. Petersburg. And we tried to show Cyrillic alphabet as a wonder, vivid wonder, with which we can interact nowadays. And the project was successful, and the core of this project was the installation. We made it together with Yuri Gordon, famous Moscow designer. It was located in the yard of Manege Central Exhibition Hall. I am an architect, and long ago I wanted to build labyrinths in St. Petersburg where people can get lost and find different ways out. And this picture shows how this idea was born. How can the travel to the history of Cyrillic alphabet can be made, and then this form changed, received different shapes, and we decided to make it as a hidden letter which can be read from above, from the height of quadricopter. It is a central main element. This letter, it was located on the square in front of Manege Central Exhibition Hall. It was looked very beautiful. It was monochromous, and on the surface of these walls there was a history of Cyrillic alphabet development. There were some dead ends in of the development, and it was unexpected for citizens of St. Petersburg. And the second part of the project was author's view on Cyrillic script, and it allows to expand the route of museum line. Central district was taken into account. Stiglitz Academy, the Russian Museum, a new planetarium, and many others. They helped us to implement this project, and many artists, most of them are my colleagues in High School of Economics. They offered their projects in the city. The project of Piotr Belly with the letter I. Okay, I've got 2 minutes. You will see it in slideshow mode. Letter I. Letter X in Russian, Ha. It was located on the spit of Basil Island. I, Russian letter I. It was located on the spit of Basil Island. U, Yuri Gordon. Letter Z, Yuri Shtapakan. Letter F, Catherine Filipenko. Is it too quickly? Letter C, Vitaly Pushnitsky. Letter U, Borin Bakharev on Solenoi. Backstreet, U, Andrei Lublinsky near Marble Palace. And it was fitting the overall in the landscape. And this letter was located in the yard of Fountain House, dramatic letter. Letter Yat, Floretsky, it was located near Cruiser Aurora. It was made of metal, shot metal. It was very interesting project. This letter was located in Nikolsky Rose. This small letter U near planetarium number 1, Sevkabel territory. And this last letter, it was added after the project start. Letter T, the authorship of Stas Bas from the site of Nevsky Prospect, Street Telezhna. It is insights into our childhood, reference to our childhood. And the project was finished by the bright note. The exhibition was organized with the help of the students of High School of Economics. And the key elements of this display were our letters. They were placed in the Museum of Ethnography. It was a serious exhibition project. I have finished.
This project was of great interest to me from the point of view that all the historic center of St. Petersburg became an exhibition space for the objects of the contemporary art and design. Now, in autumn of 2021, Denis Kotev, who's from Bukvayet formerly. He will make 12 books, the lighthouses. 12 books will be exhibited in the city in different locations. And the Committee on Tourism launches these projects, and I think that we all need to participate. It's new cultural geography that unites different spaces, which will comprise new projects. They're not going to be eternal, they are going to be temporary, but they are going to reflect our time and the moment. Because there was a project of a mural in the city during the worst time of COVID, and the words are going to emerge or are going to be found. So Kavarga, who came and stood near Manege exhibition hall, became the first action, and so Benoit School has a project, Benoit Square. I don't know if you took part in it, but we are going to open it and we'll see what the students made there. It were students from different universities, almost all the universities of St. Petersburg. Yeah, we take part in pretty much everything and then we see what happens. So we pass on to the next speaker. It's a project from historic center. So for St. Petersburg, the problem of the so-called gray belt of industrial areas that are going out of the city or cease to exist. So I give the floor to Andrei Voronov, who is going to speak about architecture and art as instruments of gentrification of the territories. And he'll speak about the project that he implements in St. Petersburg and other places. So Andrei is an architect, an artist and designer and a teacher at the School of Technology and Design. Hello, I cannot hear myself. Okay. So gentrification, it's a word that I have difficulty to pronounce. So this is my theme, and it's two projects. One is in St. Petersburg and the other is in Almetievsk town. So design and art. So we try to make some socially valuable and interesting places out of industrial areas and change the status of those territories. The term gentrification with the art preface, because the classic understanding of this term where there is work in the direction of or the attempt to raise some economic situation and to raise the cost of housing there or the cost of the land itself. We try to raise the so-called cost of social evaluation and social cost of these spaces and make them special. And during 3 or 4 years we developed the site, the Museum of Street Art. It is situated in Rzhevka. It's so-called sleeping area in St. Petersburg. It's surrounded by big roads that are Industrial Prospect, Revolution Chaussee and others. So the situation was quite bad, and the territory was in decay, physical decay, due to natural reasons, because the production was closed, and all the production actually was housed in 2 premises and 2 buildings, and a lot of buildings were abandoned and they were not used, or they were rented, and functions of these people who were renting the place. They just used everything as warehouses, and so it was not nice. We wanted to use it, and actually they decided to create this site for contemporary art, street art, and we wanted to have a museum there. At that time, it was the first of the kind, the first attempt in St. Petersburg of turning an industrial site into a cultural space. Now we have art play and self-cable. But then, back then, it was the first site, and it attracted a lot of attention from different people. Key festivals, leading festivals held there. Contact always advertised the events there. So 2 hectares were actually renovated in 2 weeks very quickly. The space was cleaned, so this is what it used to be, and then what it is now. It looks now. We brought the machines and we made this space attractive. So we had a very small budget for it, and the theme was street art, so all the aesthetics and artistic decoration was made of reused products from different industries, pipes, containers, vessels. So we fenced everything, we put sand, so the territory is still modified. We are not taking part in it anymore, but so yeah, because other sites actually took attention to them, those like Sevkabel, but in 2015, when we came there, it was a decay, as I said, and then it was renovation. We created exteriors and interiors only using some plastic pipes. We made a cafe and other different elements of industrial aesthetics. So this is how it used to be, and this is what it looks now. It seems that there is no design at all and no architectural elements, but actually we were quite attentive, and we tried to work with the interiors, existing interiors, when interiors became exteriors, and when the semi-destroyed buildings were actually, you see the pavement here. It was kind of the same pavement inside and outside. So this cement floor, you see, it's how it looks now, but at that time it didn't exist. At that time we just worked with the containers because they acted as fences, and they were also exhibition halls for us in the beginning. We had little money, but still we wanted to make it as good as possible and to have interesting decisions in terms of design. This is one of the years, I don't remember which, we had more and more green elements. We had grass. Yeah, people were complaining that you needed to put sneakers to be able to walk there, but we made some zones also for people to walk in shoes. And so this is the second square, industrial square, and like industrial park in Almetyevsk. It's kind of similar in its characteristics. It's located in the center, the very center of Almetyevsk, and one of the facades faces the central square of the city, where a lot of people are gathered on special occasions. And so this is formerly boiling premises, like for heating water, belonging to a factory. It was fenced with a cement fence and with a barbed wire. And a lot of inhabitants, they were irritated by it, and the city is new, and the whole center consists of those buildings that you saw, like five-story buildings. This project has not been implemented yet. We are going to work on it this summer. Actually, we persuaded the person who commissioned it to decorate the building itself so that the facade that faces the city looks better, and we decided to make a big mural. We invited Artyom Stefanov, who actually painted this building. So this is the theory of the origin of petrol. This was the theme. So first year he painted these premises, and actually we persuaded again the person who commissioned it to eliminate the fence. So we opened the territory to the city. So the whole building became visible, and behind there was this lot, kind of a parking lot that is marked with a small. You see the arrow on top. So there is a cascade of ponds, kind of river, and along it the territories are being developed very actively. Some entertainment, some side squares, and some children's sites. And this is the place where actually this boiling area is situated. And we opened the territory, but still it was quite sad. It looked sad, and in a year time, the person who commissioned it again decided to give this territory to the city so that it becomes an industrial park, and actually make it belong to the inhabitants of the city, to the city itself. So we had an interdisciplinary team for it, and in a couple of months we collected the opinion of the inhabitants. We actually found out that there is a movement of young people, the whole movement of it's people who move around on these small bicycles, and even in Almatyevsk there are two international champions of this sport, and we decided to make this industrial square for bear mixes, and such as ramps and paths. Okay, let me ask a question. So this is the territory of a private company that becomes the territory of the city, that opens itself to the city. Yeah, the museum, the street art museum, where actually they take money for entrance so that they can keep the territories. Here, it is just a gift from this company to the inhabitants, because also in the first place it is actually situated near the central square. The most interesting thing is that this square is separated from the main road by the gas pipeline, and we couldn't eliminate it, of course, and we decided to use it. So we decided to make all this renovation using gas pipes. As in Gazprom they have a division that deals with gas. They provided us the material, and so we produce the elements using the pipes. So we use what we have available, and then we invited the professionals from Kazan State University, dendrologists, so the specialists in plants. So all this old asphalt covered the territory. So we decided to have amelioration, and we implemented a technology that we kind of invented along with those professionals. It's a technology when the asphalt was crushed, and we used this as a ground for planting the trees. And so it's different volumes and different sites of different shape, where the plants grow from garbage, let's say.
And asphalted lawn, and we tried to improve it. On the example of the projects connected with St. Petersburg, with the center industrial zone, the example of Almetivsk, it is clearly seen that we work with urban environment in huge scales, and there is a project laboratory at High School of Economics. Natalia Rogova manages the direction design of educational environment. It can be clearly seen outside the building of High School of Economics. It is and to work with educational environment is very important for High School of Economics. Natalia, I kindly ask you to explain this topic. Today I'm speaking about the schools in the context of our huge events, social mission. School, it is an important object, a sort of reflection of the on the example of educational spaces, we try to involve education and design. In Russia and abroad, they understood that good schools, it is a huge resource of increased territory capitalization. Moreover, if not only the state allocate a lot of money in the frames of targeted programs to change the building and equipment in school, private investors, not only business, came to the field of educational environment, and investors who build huge residential areas, they understand that schools not only are the burden, but also the means of increase of the price for square meter. And in order to reconstruct the school design, they try to understand how efficiently they are used. And over the recent 7 years, a lot of projects are offered in the design of educational environment. And this slide shows our experience when we discuss with pedagogical team at schools. We receive mostly quantitative requirements, but methods and everything that is important for this in the educational environment is in the bottom part of educational table. The number of tables is necessary of high importance. By furniture, mobile furniture is on the periphery. World classification of pedagogue knowledge about educational environment is very important. They are in the conditions, they can't change, and they don't interact with them. There is a certain number of teachers. They got lost, and part of teachers which see educational environment as the instrument of implementation of teaching programs. If we consider designers, new designers who design new schools differently, we can understand that the school buildings are quite different. Jan Kamensky is a pioneer. He described the modern schools, and we can meet the requirements how the space should be organized. School must educate people who should accumulate and apply accumulated knowledge. As if we remember Soviet schools, the place, the arrangement of desks, the economy is developing, and a person who is able only to reproduce old actions, it is wrong for modern economy. There is a necessity in those who can act in non-standard situation. Economic situation is changing, wars, production process is changing, and we need different type of educational result. Helen Packet tried to rearrange desks in order to provide communication, as you may see in this slide. Maria Montessori started to speak about scalability differently. For her goal, scalability means the fact what a child can take according to his height. When we conducted our research in last years of secondary schools, the aim was to make school children become the students of leading universities. And they show how environmental, educational environment become the part of educational process. International research show that specific factors of environmental design give from 16 to 20% of accumulation of educational design. This slide shows the school where Churchill started. Please pay attention to the picture. And this is Summerhill School, free English school. If previous school, it is the reproduction of elites, and this school received students, non-standard students, and they created the students created their own model. You see here the students in line, a different type of communication. The students are in slippers. Two higher schools of Amsterdam, this Lyceum. Amsterdam is an international city, but the district where this Lyceum is located is the most international. They choose the backgrounds of their educational policy, project education. They declare such basic values. They are maximally open. Pay attention to this space, how it is organized. They are open. There are a lot of open glassy space. The main type of education is project education, and the main types of spaces are workshops where school children realize their projects. These spaces themselves, they are like theater. And if we speak about mobile furniture, it is quite simple, and the whole space is organized according to current needs. I have not seen in our schools such furniture arrangement. These projects, school children are looking for such projects themselves. They interact with 9 companies. They discuss their projects, and in the end, they present 3 projects to the school, and then the school chooses only 1 project. And after that, they can interact with the external market. Can only school give good educational advice which fits in such a theory? This is the oldest lyceum in Amsterdam. It was founded in 1917. It is Amsterdam's lyceum. The values are similar. They are critical in order to let the student enter the best university. And let us see how such stories can be realized in an old building. We can see that it is an old school. It is trying to realize its own traditions. Dynasties are preserved here. The memory about everyone who went to this school, and how can the transparency be preserved, which is important for this school. Sometimes old constructions are used in new complex, and in all complex spaces are organized, and they are equally convenient for educational process. Not only spaces for educational process are important, also private spaces of no less importance. They can have rest there, and so on. And the project from branding to design of educational environment, Lyceum of High School of Economics, when the best students come to the university, and they leave after the first year of education because teachers and parents taught them differently. They did not have any private space, and Lyceum is different from average school. This slide shows the main values of the Lyceum position of student. It is connected with the claim for the management of their own life, their freedom in exchange for some duties. Let us see how these values are transformed into educational environments. The Lyceum was founded in 1913, and that year it ordered branding. And now, in this background of this branding, everyone feels comfortable, and the Lyceum buildings are in the old buildings, but there are no resources to fit them in educational programs. The first spaces which appear there, it is this space which is critical for lyceums. It is Lyceum Club in all Lyceum buildings. There is a Lyceist Club in all buildings. there are a lot of Lyceum buildings in St. Petersburg, like in Moscow, and every building has its own name and movement within the city. It is an educational process because the student has to understand the time he needs for the time for movement. And then when we projected one of the buildings and it was restored properly, we focused on this same comfort for children and students. You see Dmitry Efimovich in his own study. Next to it, there is a comfortable the space for co-working, and it is very important for the realization of Lyceum programs. So educational results and value defines the spatial requirements and the character of educational environment in terms of acoustics, light, and space gives the accumulation in terms of educational results. The school changes quicker than the environment does, and if we don't bridge the gap, it can be done with the help of educational programs. We will lag behind the development of our school. And one more problem which exists in the projects on design of educational environments, the availability of mobile furniture, which is critical for mobility of the space. And we hope that High School of Economics in St. Petersburg will deal with the issues connected with the furniture development and so on. Natalia, thank you very much.
So some of the projects are actually presented in the lobby, in the hall, in this exhibition, and I would like to give the floor to the Deputy Director of St. Petersburg High School of Economics and Evgeny Grishpun, the Director of St. Petersburg Furniture Company, and we hope that St. Petersburg High School of Economics will have an important partner, because any actions in design that are not meant for production and mass production, they remain as prototypes, and design of education, environment, and of different social institutions needs to be scaled. And Philip, I ask you to disclose our plans on collaboration and on scientific laboratory in St. Petersburg High School of Economics. Me and Yefim, we actually prepared this presentation together, and it reflects our joint vision of what we want to do together. And I'm going to show it to those who are here in this room, to your colleagues, to our colleagues. I wanted to ask if I'm the last one to speak. How much time do I have? I think we have 10 to 15 minutes, and we are going to finish. But as we have a lot of topics and speakers, we are not in time. We're behind the schedule. So, dear friends, we are really happy about this collaboration, and we collaborate with a lot of talented people, but we lack actually knowledge in production technology. I speak about the students of design in Russia. they are not really familiar with the situation in production lines in the factories, and our aim is to connect these two worlds. And what you see is our answer, is that this project education laboratory with the first furniture company, they could create this kind of department where the students would work and the colleagues who represent the industry of the production line of the factory, who is our partner, so that they could make the projects and scale them and produce eventually. So these are small technological points, laboratories or centers within the university, as well as massive production lines, as the production line in the first furniture factory, that can be used also for the small projects and involve making prototypes. So I'm going to tell you about it. It's some practical applied projects, some developments for making models. We're speaking about designer and space furniture. I'm writing beneficiaries. This is who are, it's actually the inhabitants and the people. So we work for the city dwellers, for the citizens of our country, and even maybe for foreign people, with the support of the industrial partner and with a lot of students. This is what we call education laboratory. This format is the format that we chose, and it actually connects all those possibilities. We have a project of education laboratory, and they have different directions that are no less interesting. But here, this is the specific characteristics. These are the key types of activities of this laboratory. This is design as such. This is making projects of new lines of furniture for different customers. Participation in competitions related to small architectural forms, etc. So what you see in this slide is what can be done together jointly with a lot of students, with a number of students who are studying design at the moment. We're going to have more of them, and we have discussed with our colleagues what could be our first projects. We decided that the projects that we have in the first furniture factory, those who are central, and where we can be useful and that could be of interest to us, they are represented in our slide. It's some mass productions, mass decisions for the builders in St. Petersburg. It is small-scale apartments, studios, elaboration and development of the trade centers. So with the first furniture factory, we see those areas where we can come in. We have those actually points, like information points, where you can get in and ask information and get information, ask for information and get information about the projects. Parking, but actually I'm not a specialist in design, but the marketing opportunity. It's packaging. Actually, I realized that packaging is very important for the company, and it should have focus, and we should face this challenge. Further on, you see unique concepts for sales in world markets. It's unique items. It's decoration of big spaces and trade complexes and education objects and social institutions. So the next two slides are this one and the previous one. They are devoted to some action plan, and it presupposes different divisions, because we have this structure and we have the timeline, how we are going to move forward to create the stuff, and we are going to create the website, we are going to create the models, and then make prototypes. So this is where we use production space, but the competences that that can be provided by the first furniture factory and can be provided by the specialists is the skills that they have, the skills to work and to communicate with the people who work in the production. And it's a special story, because when a creative person comes to the production, he might react in a certain way to what he faces and to people he faces. So this is the main thing, and there is a number of projects related to the positioning of this collaboration. It's open space and participation in an open design school, and we are moving towards this like profile designer degree as a bachelor degree. And this is the plan of our joint work in this regard. We hope that we will succeed, and on the basis of this first furniture factory, we would be able to answer, to face the challenges. Thank you very much. Thank you, Philip and Yefim. So the question, as an industrial partner, can we criticize the present-day students? You, as the person who provides workplaces, so when you talk to the graduates, and what can we do as a university who educates students? So what can we do to improve the situation and eliminate the problems existing today, if there are problems, or everything is just fine? Hello. Surely, in HR, there are lots of problems, and they always exist. I wouldn't like to criticize anyone, but I would like to say what we are going to do jointly, the vision from our side. First of all, we all know that there is a number of creative people and a number of good ideas, but implementation of those ideas is not such a good and strong size. If this can be called criticizing, then I criticized. It's not a good situation. And this collaboration is of vital importance. Our interest is that we work in a very competitive environment, and we need new ideas. We need a fresh look on the direction where we need to go, because we produce some corpus furniture, we produce complex doors and different kinds of decorations. Okay, I'm not going to speak about First Furniture Factory. You have a website where you can have a look at everything you are interested in. But as I said, we need to have development. The market is very competitive with the pandemic and with the foreign producers. Now the situation is a little bit calmer, but there are still problems. But when the borders are going to be open, we are going to be in a very tough situation. Yes, that's why we need new ideas, and it's one side of the problem. On the other hand, we just need people. We're not speaking about workers, we speak of intellectuals, of people, of intellectual labor. We need designers who are modern and who have this up-to-date way of thinking. We need constructors who are able to implement the idea of the designer and make something out of it. And what is the problem? The problem for today is that creative people often, almost always, they cannot imagine how it can be done in practice. I do not want to say that the factory should take the position, I can make this stool out of 3 pieces of wood and I am a professional. No, this is not so. We are not going to move to the Stone Age, back to the Stone Age. But existing technologies and existing opportunities or powers in certain factories, so they need knowledge, but they need also to look on the general and good understanding of how to make it, because often you see different, very, very beautiful projects that need some space technologies that maybe have not been invented yet, and it is a pity when people who try to offer this for a number of years, they consider themselves to be geniuses, not understood by the public, by other people, because the idea was good. So if we speak about suggestions, not about the critics, so the suggestion is the understanding that the bread doesn't grow on the tree, so to say, how the things are made. So this basic understanding of real things, real technologies that exist, then it will be much easier to realize their projects. Again, I would repeat myself, when we receive some proposals that are completely impossible, those projects are just put aside and they are just stored somewhere in the corner, and what we produce is something from the past. Thank you very much, Yefim. Unfortunately, we have 2 topics that we haven't covered, and we wanted and were to cover them today during this round table. But I hope that our colleagues and speakers will have a chance to speak on another event. We are going to publish during another event. We are going to publish your reports, and we are going to develop and continue this discussion. This discussion is much wider than we could actually touch upon today during this time that was quite short. And I believe that what has been voiced today, the topics were very important, that the university as a project institution, as a school oriented on practical implementation of projects and preparing students with possessing some practical skills. It's not only today's industry, but also what tomorrow's industry can offer and what they can offer. And I want to outline that the High School of Design, the School of Design of High School of Economics, actually sees it as its focus that the students should possess skills, and our main position information of our teachers, the staff of teachers, and they all have their own artistic practices. Each of the tutors has serious professional achievements, and due to the fact that design is a project-oriented activity, this approach, actually, to my mind, allows us to effectively transmit contemporary and demanded skills to our students, making them competitive on today's designer market. I thank you all for participation and for your reports, and I thank our audience in the hall and those who watched us online. Thank you. Thank you again. Bye.